For centuries, the Galactic Union believed humans were harmless. They were new to the interstellar stage, their ships small, their fleets limited, and their colonies few. Compared to the ancient civilizations of the galaxy, humanity looked like a child playing among giants. Alien ambassadors often laughed at them. Humans are creative, one council member once said, but they lack the power to challenge anyone. Human representatives simply smiled and said nothing, because the truth was humanity had been hiding something enormous. The threat. One day, the galaxy faced a terrifying enemy. A brutal alien empire known as the Vorath Dominion began conquering star systems. Their fleets were massive. Planetary defenses fell in hours, and entire civilizations surrendered without a fight. The Galactic Union gathered in panic. "We cannot stop them," one admiral admitted. "Their warships outnumber ours 10 to 1. System after system fell. Eventually, the Vorath fleets moved toward human territory. The Council expected humans to beg for help. Instead, the human ambassador calmly said, "Do not worry, we will handle it." The Council chamber erupted with laughter. "How?" an alien senator mocked. "With your tiny cruisers?" The ambassador simply replied, "You will see." The secret revealed. When the Vorath fleet entered human space, their scanners suddenly detected something impossible. At first, they thought it was a planet. Then the object moved. Then another one appeared, and another. Soon, 5 enormous objects emerged from the darkness of space. They were planet-sized warships. Entire artificial worlds covered with weapon systems, shield generators, fighter bays, and energy cannons powerful enough to crack moons. The humans called them Titan-Class Warships. Each one had been secretly constructed inside asteroid belts and hidden nebulae for decades. Human engineers had turned entire planets into mobile fortresses. The battle. The Vorath Dominion attacked immediately. Thousands of warships fired their weapons. The beams struck the massive human titans and did almost nothing. The shields of the planet ships glowed like small suns. Then the human fleet responded. A single Titan fired its main human warships had destroyed one of the most powerful invasion fleets ever assembled. But the most terrifying part was not their power. It was the question everyone began asking. If humans built 5, how many more exist? Panic in the Galactic Council. Inside the Galactic Union Council chamber, the atmosphere was tense. Representatives from dozens of species argued loudly. "This is unacceptable," one reptilian senator shouted. "Humans built weapons larger than planets without telling anyone." Another ambassador added nervously, "If they can build such weapons secretly, what else are they hiding?" Some species demanded that humanity dismantle the Titans immediately. Others were too afraid to even suggest it. Finally, the human ambassador stood up. The room became silent. "You fear our ships," the ambassador said calmly. "But you should ask yourselves something first. Who saved the galaxy from the Vorath Dominion?" No one answered. The second warning. Meanwhile, deep in the dark edges of the galaxy, the Vorath Dominion was not finished. Their emperor was furious. The destruction of their fleet was an insult no empire had ever delivered before. "Humans think they have won," the emperor growled. "Prepare the Omega fleet." Across dozens of shipyards, thousands of new ships launched. Even larger than the previous invasion force. The Vorath were returning, this time with 10 times the power. Humanity's next secret. Back in human territory, the 5 Titan warships slowly moved through space, but they were not alone. Hidden deep inside a nebula, something far larger waited. Something the galaxy had never imagined. A structure the size of a small solar system. A massive ring of metal and energy surrounding an artificial star. Inside the command center, a human admiral spoke quietly. "Activate Project Atlas." Lights across the gigantic structure turned on one by one. Engines the size of continents began to awaken. A young officer stared at the massive hologram and whispered. Massive structure slowly came to life. The Project Atlas installation was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It surrounded an artificial star with enormous rings of metal, each one thousands of kilometers wide. Energy flowed through the structure like rivers of light. Inside the central command chamber, human officers watched their displays carefully. "Power levels rising," one technician reported. "Atlas core at 30%. The admiral stood with his hands behind his back. "Good," he said calmly. "We will need every bit of it." The Vorath return. Across the galaxy, long-range sensors suddenly detected something terrifying. The Vorath Dominion had returned, but this time their fleet was far larger. Thousands of warships darkened the stars as they moved toward human territory. Their massive flagship alone was larger than entire cities. Alien civilizations panicked. The Galactic Union called an emergency meeting again. "They're coming with an Omega fleet," one analyst said. "No defense system can stop that many ships." Everyone looked toward the human representative. But the human ambassador looked strangely calm. "They will not reach your worlds," the ambassador said. The Titan fleet moves. At the edge of human space, the 5 Titan-Class Warships slowly formed a defensive line. Each of the planet-sized vessels glowed with enormous shield fields. Fighter craft launched in endless waves like swarms of metal insects. Then the Vorath fleet arrived. Thousands of enemy ships filled space with weapons fire. Energy beams, missiles, and plasma blasts struck the Titans like a cosmic storm. The battle was the largest the galaxy had ever witnessed. Even the mighty Titans began to struggle under the endless attack. Inside the human flagship, an officer spoke nervously. "Admiral, their numbers are too high." The admiral nodded slowly. "Yes," he said, "that was expected." Then he gave the order, "Activate Atlas." The weapon no one expected. Back in the hidden nebula, Project Atlas reached full power. The artificial star at its center began to glow brighter and brighter. Massive energy collectors absorbed the star's power and redirected it into the giant ring structure. Across the galaxy, sensors suddenly went wild. Astronomers watched in shock. Something enormous just activated in human space. Inside the Atlas control. After the destruction of the Vorath Omega fleet, the galaxy entered a strange silence. For the first time in centuries, there was no war. The Vorath Dominion had retreated to the far edges of the galaxy, afraid to face humanity again. Civilizations across thousands of star systems began rebuilding their fleets and defenses. But one question continued to spread through the Galactic Union. Why are humans so prepared for wars that haven't even happened yet? No one had an answer. A message from the void. Months later, human deep space sensors detected something unusual. Far beyond the outer edge of the galaxy, where almost no ships ever traveled, a massive signal appeared. It was not from the Vorath. It was something older. The signal repeated only one short message. They are returning.
Human scientists immediately recognized the pattern. Inside a secure command center on Earth, a secret meeting began. Only the highest-ranking leaders and admirals were present. A young officer looked confused. "Sir, who is returning?" The room went silent. Finally, the oldest admiral in the room spoke quietly. "The species that almost destroyed humanity 1,000 years ago." Humanity's forgotten war. Long before humans joined the Galactic Union, before alien civilizations even knew Earth existed, humanity had fought a terrible war. Not against the Vorath, not against any known species, but against a mysterious enemy called the Ancients. They were not a normal civilization. They were machines, massive living fleets that consumed entire planets and stars. Humanity barely survived that war. Earth was nearly destroyed. Billions died. But humans eventually forced the machines to retreat beyond the edge of the galaxy. And since that day, humanity had been preparing for the moment when they would return. Why humans built the Titans. Oldest civilizations in the galaxy had existed for tens of thousands of years, yet none of them had ever seen a fleet this large. One senator whispered in fear, "That is not a fleet. That is an invasion of the entire galaxy." The human ambassador nodded. "Yes, they are called the Ancients." The Ancient Machines. According to human records, the Ancients were not just machines. They were self-replicating war systems. Every planet they captured was turned into factories. Every asteroid became a weapon. Every star system they conquered produced thousands of new warships. They did not negotiate. They did not stop. They only consumed. 1,000 years ago, humanity had barely survived them. But this time, humans were ready. Humanity's hidden defense network. Across human space, secret facilities suddenly activated. Massive shipyards hidden inside asteroid belts opened their gates. Gigantic warships that had never been seen before slowly moved into space. New Titan-Class Warships joined the original 5. Then 10 more appeared, then 20. Across the galaxy, alien sensors detected hundreds of enormous human vessels waking from deep space. But that was not the most shocking discovery. Humanity had also built something else, a galaxy-wide defense network. Hidden stations around thousands of stars suddenly activated powerful shields and weapons systems. Human engineers had quietly spent centuries building a massive protection grid around the entire galaxy. The first battle. The ancient fleet finally reached the outer edge of the galaxy. The machines moved like a dark storm of metal. Millions of mechanical ships advanced without hesitation. But this time, they did not find a weak civilization. They found human defenses waiting for them. The Titan fleet moved forward to intercept. Hundreds of planet-sized warships formed a defensive wall across space. Fighter drones launched by the millions. Energy cannons powerful enough to destroy moons began firing. The battle lit up the darkness of space like exploding stars. Even the ancient machines were forced to slow down. The galaxy joins the fight. For the first time in history, the entire galaxy united. Alien civilizations realized that if humanity fell, everyone would. Something strange happened. Across the battlefield, sensors suddenly detected a massive gravitational disturbance. Stars in the nearby systems began shifting slightly. Energy readings exploded across every scanner.
One alien captain stared at his console. "What is happening?" A human officer answered calmly, "Humanity's final defense." At that moment, Project Horizon fired. A massive wave of gravitational energy spread across space. Entire stars shifted position slightly, bending the battlefield itself. The ancient fleet suddenly found itself trapped in a deadly gravitational storm. Machine ships crashed into each other. Some were pulled directly into nearby stars. Others were crushed by intense gravity waves. Within minutes, millions of ancient ships were destroyed. The galaxy is shocked. Across every civilization, scientists stared in disbelief. Humans had just used a weapon that could control stars. Inside the Galactic Council, one alien leader whispered, "We thought planet-sized warships were the peak of human power." Another slowly replied, "Apparently, humans were just getting started." But the war isn't over. Back on the human command ship, the admiral watched the battlefield. The ancient fleet had suffered massive losses, but the red signals were still there, still advancing, still endless. Then, long-range scanners detected something new, something far larger than anything seen before. At the center of the machine swarm, a single gigantic signal appeared, a machine structure the size of a small planet. The admiral stared at it and spoke quietly. "So, their leader has arrived."
The battlefield at the edge of the galaxy had already seen unimaginable destruction. Millions of machine ships from the ancients had been destroyed by the Titan fleet and Project Horizon, yet the war was far from over, because now their leader had arrived, the machine overlord. At the center of the ancient swarm, a gigantic structure appeared. It was larger than any Titan, larger than a moon, a planet-sized machine intelligence. Its surface was covered with weapons, factories, and energy systems. Smaller machine ships constantly launched from its massive openings like swarms of insects. Alien fleets watching the sensors could barely believe what they were seeing. One alien commander whispered, "That is not a ship. That is a moving world." Human scanners identified it quickly. Ancient Command Core, the central intelligence controlling the entire machine invasion. As long as it existed, the machines would never stop. The galaxy's last stand. All remaining fleets gathered for one final attack. Human titans moved forward. Alien warships from hundreds of civilizations joined them. Millions of fighters and drones filled space. For the first time in galactic history, every species fought side by side. The combined fleets attacked the machine world. Weapons lit up space like 1,000 exploding suns. But the ancient command core was unbelievably powerful. Its shields absorbed massive damage. Its factories kept producing new machine ships faster than the fleets could destroy them. Inside the human flagship, officers watched the battle with growing concern. "Admiral, we can't break its defenses." The admiral nodded. "I know." He opened one final classified command. Humanity's ultimate secret. Across several nearby star systems, hidden installations suddenly activated. Gigantic engines began pulling energy directly from multiple stars. These systems were connected to Project Horizon.